Oh, welcome, all you soul-inspired beings out there, all you lovely, lovely people who are connecting with this content, connecting with Christ consciousness, your divine spark, your divinity, your evolution, your spiritual growth, whichever term feels best for you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to day 3 of 55 Days of Christ Consciousness. I'm Gina Libido, Soul Inspired Reflections, and so thrilled to be inspired to be here with you as we take this journey of Christ Consciousness together, again, inspired by the Christ Consciousness Self-Mastery deck by Amanda Ellis and illustrated by Jane Belaford Taylor. The energy on this is so lovely, lovely, lovely as I've connected with it. And it still continues to open up as I connect with you on this journey. And it opens up more and more as each day. So I'd like to invite us to go ahead and ground ourselves and prepare yourself as you begin to connect with today's content, Christ consciousness energies that are being invoked and activated within you. And just know that you're not separate from it. It's there, it's inside you whenever you're ready to connect with it. That being said, let's go ahead and take 3 nice even breaths together, in through the nose and out gently through the mouth. Inhale for 5 seconds and hold at the top for 5 seconds, and then exhale gently for 5 and then hold at the base. If you can't hold it for the entire time or breathe in the full 5 seconds, that's okay. Just go where your body allows you to go. Put your feet on the ground. And if you aren't able to do that, just imagine your feet touching the ground and yourself connecting, activating your soul star chakra and connecting to the heart of the earth. Okay, inhale at your own pace. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the body, relaxing the mind. Inhale again. And while you are breathing, go ahead and activate your pillar of light, your divine pillar of light, purest energy around you, activating your violet fire, violet flame that goes blazes in, through, and around you, transforming any energy that is not of the highest light into light. Just picture your pillar of light connecting and activating a shield of light also about external from your body, below your feet, about where your soul star chakra begins. Those of you that like to connect with Archangel Sandalphon to assist you with this, please call on him. He represents our soul star chakra, assists you in grounding, takes messages to source and God for you on your behalf, as many other angels do as well. Divine complement to Archangel Metatron, who will assist us with that shield above our head, outside of our body, connecting that pillar of light fully, as above and so below. Also bringing in that earth energy up through your chakras, your lower chakras, your feet, your actual physical body, as well as that conduit of light that goes up through your center column, and taking that up into your root chakra and your sacral chakra with the breath all the way up. Calling on your own guides to be here with you, your benevolent beings of light and ancestors, if you wish, to guide you through your process. And if you'd like, have a journal nearby, or as you connect with this later, maybe you want to write down your what's happening for you in your own meditation while we connect today with Christ consciousness energies. And as you're going through a heart expansion, an energetic expansion of your physical body, your energetic bodies, your spiritual body, and your being. Continuing that breath up into the navel chakra, the solar plexus, up into the heart, higher heart, and then throat. Into the third eye, your ears, your Alta Major behind at the base of your neck, your crown, soul star, causal, stellar gateway. Calling on Archangel Metatron to assist in being the gatekeeper of your stellar gateway. If you use a different guide for that purpose, please call on that guide. Again, this is use your intuition, your guidance. You have your own free will to use those beings of light that call to you during this process. We're also going to call in the energy of Jesus, his energy, to assist in just building that energy here and now. Let me go ahead and I'm going to grab that spray real quick. Okay, for those of you who have not seen it, you can connect with that. And of course, if the word Christ consciousness does not resonate with you, just use energy, higher qualities, I am presence. This is your journey. It's use what resonates with you the most and uplifts you, because we want to allow yourself to be in a state of flow, a state of reception, and trusting that your soul, your higher self, will receive exactly what it's meant to today or whenever you come back across this video at your own time. Very exciting today. I thought was very synchronistic that we are going to be working with the energy of the teacher. That is the Christ Consciousness Oracle card that was pulled for today. And so for those of you that may not realize, I pulled the card the night before, after the prior day is complete. So this card was pulled yesterday evening after day 2 was posted. And so what I do, I set that card, the card on the altar, I connect with its energies, I sit in with its energies throughout the day, and then just let go. And then just see how the day unfolds. And then I return to it as we are sitting here and record this live. I do not edit. I just allow to come, whatever's going to come through. And just trust that higher guidance is going to come through Metatron, the energy of Jesus, or whatever other ascended master would like to come through and assist us on this journey. It's not solely isolated to Jesus. He just represents the template and map that was laid out for humanity, as well as others as well that can hold the Christ consciousness energies that are higher template. So you too are working on bringing in and activating your higher template of your divinity in full embodiment. So for those of you that are recognizing you're on your path of light, you're doing your own inner journey, and so welcome. And those of you that are just newly waking up to yourself, welcome. And just know you're not alone on this journey. You have so many beings of light that are here to assist you and guide you along your journey as you return to the light within you and your divine union within yourself, and direct connection and communication to source energy in your monad. Okay, so you no longer need the mediary as we once did, right? We're becoming and remembering that we are spiritually sovereign, and we're coming together and gathering in a much different way than before. So how does all this relate to the teacher and walk the talk, is what it says on the card, right? On the card. So we're going to allow the card to sit here off to the side so I can see it while I talk. But I feel it's important today to also touch base a little bit on the numerology of today. It was really clear. Sometimes I pay attention to the number that's on the card, and this card happens to be number 33. Okay, 33. Today's the 3rd day of Christ consciousness journey. I thought that was interesting. And today is June 14th, 2023, which when you do the numerology, it's a number 18, which then reduces down to number 9, right? So we're going to briefly talk about the energetic or attributes of those numbers. And for those of you that may resonate with that, sometimes there's messages within that or coding within the numbers, right? Because everything's mathematics. The universe is a universal language, right? Angels communicate with us through numbers. Okay. Spirit connects with us through numbers. So when looking at the number 18, it can be representing, I'll backtrack just a little bit. It's a combination of the number 1 and 8. So 1 can represent new beginnings, projects, self-leadership, your instinct, your intuition, things of that nature. With also new beginning, you may be starting new projects, okay? And then 8 can be related to abundance, also that infinity symbol, if you turn it on its side, right? It's a really spiritual law. It connects you to that spiritual law of cause and effect, okay? Cause and effect, spiritual law. So as you begin your journey and recognize and learn to walk this life through universal law and physical law, how might that change how you navigate this world and carry yourself, right? Because a whole much more responsibility and accountability comes with that as you learn how to work with energy and your energetics. Here you're learning self-mastery. Self-mastery is energetics, and it shows up in the way that you conduct your life, your lifestyle, the way you speak, the way you think, the choices you make and actions you put into place, okay? It's also, you're building that opportunity of self-confidence, more discernment in a whole other way than perhaps you have before, because of your ability to recognize you're an energetic being, you're multifaceted, and there's a lot more to you than that once met the eye, right? It's like Transformers, more than meets the eye is what I'm hearing. I'm just seeing that. And sometimes Metatron and Jesus can be quite funny, right? There's a lot of humor that can be had and enjoyed in your life, like more than meets the eye. So you are more than meets the eye. And in this midst of transformation, right? If those of you that resonate with Transformers and Autobots and things of that nature, right? They can transform, but their essence is still there. So are you, your essence is there in your soul and your divinity, yet you can transform in an instant or over time, right? You can have fun with this. You can have fun with this, even as you're walking. And how does this relate to being the teacher, right? And walking your talk. So perhaps having fun with your journey, right? Because that too, our joy teaches others and almost gives people permission to have fun, to laugh, to radiate love, and have that energy in your projects, right? For those of you that are beginning new projects, perhaps you're inspired to start a career of service of some kind, or a spiritual career of service, or something that's going to serve humanity. And it doesn't have to be huge, right? You can have a small profitable business, and maybe that's all you want to do, where you serve people individually as they come into your shop, right? It's just, what matters is the energy of your space, the purpose of your space, and what you are bringing in. What magic are you bringing in, and how is that serving for the highest good? Is it bringing you joy as well? Because that matters, as well as then of course, that law of cause and effect. What you put out comes back to you. Okay, what you put out comes back to you, and what you put out has an equal and opposite reaction in response. Okay, so when you're working with the universe and universal laws, that law you will get very comfortable with or uncomfortable with, but it'll reverberate back to you very quickly as you're in this time of awakening, because we're in another phase of awakening and other energies are really coming into the planet. To give those of you that whenever you are receiving this message, it's during these times, just know you're going to receive it at the right time, no matter if it's now or 2 years from now. But while I'm recording this, we're heading into the energies of the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. So, and that means winter solstice in the southern. So those portals and gateways and transitional points and cycles amplify energy and allows more energy to come in. There's been this more influx of like that Lumerian energy. I always connect with the water energy when I connect with Lumerian, and as well with at least right now, as I've been connecting with this 55 days of Christ consciousness, water becomes more very important. It's almost like that blood that runs through us, right? Using perhaps that representation of the body of Christ, the blood of Christ, right? So remember, Christ is a level of attainment. So how might we look at that as like, oh, what level of attainment? What is flowing through me that is being activated? What is in my water? What is circulating through my blood? How am I oxygenating that? How am I fueling my body to be supportive of my journey to enlightenment? Okay. So perhaps have a new perspective with what that might mean for you in your relationship to water, and are you in flow with your evolution? Are you allowing it your upgrade and expansion of yourself, your essence to flow through you and into you? And that being said, also allowing what doesn't serve you anymore to flow out, right? To flow out. So that could even be emotional attachments. How might those be flowing out? Sometimes you might cry. Okay, and that's okay. Allow the tears to come through you because you're just releasing energy. It's a way your body releases energy. Urination. So this is where I have water next to me because I'm channeling a lot of energy. And it helps me to hydrate. But while you're going through this process, hydrate your body. Those of you that are recognizing, wow, I'm probably a little more thirsty, I need more rest, things of that nature, whatever's going to support your integration. You're integrating these energies, because they're your energies that are ready to come through you and be expressed through the uniqueness of you. So that being said, oh yeah, a level of achievement, service, inner wisdom. Your inner wisdom is coming in through these energetic portals that you are connected to through your energetic body, your light body, your chakra system, and it'll run through your meridians. Okay. And those two are evolving. All right. So coming into the number 18, how these relate together. It can be a really good time to focus on your service-based practices for those of you feeling called to do that, which I find interesting because I had this big calling to do this right now. And because this is also a service to those who are resonating with this type of content and who recognize that they're on their path of light of some in their own way, right? And so I really invite you to be open to the various terms and not get stuck on the label, right? So if you're contracting like, oh, path of light, let that go. Maybe you call it your inner evolution, soul growth, transformation, right? Self-empowerment, right? It's all the same. It's just going to look different and be spoken to differently. But when you can let go and recognize, oh, okay, that's what's happening. It's just, here's the vernacular used from this perspective or this tradition, right? Again, it's your path. Yet your body's designed to receive energy. So that's what you need to learn, in my opinion, how to work with your energy, master it and manage it, and walk this life as the teacher. Because the way you live, you're constantly teaching, whether you recognize that or not, right? So if you have children, your children are watching you all the time. They're being taught in the womb. They're being encoded through the membrane, through the water, because water has a molecular structure to it And with vibration and frequency, that water gets programmed, because it also has minerals in it, and right, that will salts and whatnot, crystals. We have crystals in us, minerals, right? So the water will get programmed and prepare that child for the external world once it gets birthed and moves from water to matter, right? Out of the protective womb of the mother. I had to briefly pause there. You may hear Gus in the background barking. So in the protective womb of the mother, right? And then, but the child is being developed there in multiple facets. And the womb is also nurturing and it's full of nutrients, right? So how am I, and you are no different from that. You too, or maybe you're going through this next cycle and phase in your growth that you are going through that birth canal, you're out of it. And now you're being birthed into this new version of yourself. Okay. Because it can also be looked at as a metaphor of, we were talking about the resurrection flame a little bit in yesterday, and that energy of, death and rebirth, right? We're in a cycle among cycles of death and rebirth. Okay. And so that's where that resurrection, because we were talking about in yesterday in day 2, the archetype of Judas, the catalyst, right? The catalyst, some betrayal, soul contracts, but how might those assist you in your rebirth and your soul growth, right? So as you're connecting to today and the teacher, everything in life in my shamanic background is looked at as the opportunity of a teacher. Everything's a teacher, whether it's illness, an experience with another person, your interaction with nature or animals. Okay, everything has an opportunity to teach you something and draw out your inner and deeper wisdom, right? So, and just know our perspective of something, our human perspective of something can change as you grow, right? So you say you had an experience as a child and you used to be more angry about it and look at it in a very singular way. As an adult, or some time has passed, perhaps you have a new perspective and are able to hold more than just the one initial perspective that you had. Well, so more than, all those perspectives have a truth to their experience. Yet when you're walking this path of light and connecting to your higher self and I am presence, your Christ consciousness, then you are connecting into the truth of all that is. And that is different. Okay, that's different. It doesn't mean your experiences didn't occur. It doesn't make them any more or less real. But when you're looking through the wisdom of this teacher, the teacher you're becoming, the wisdom of your I am presence, you're looking down like a bird's eye view and you can see all parties at play and what the truth of that situation really was for you on a soul level and a growth level. Okay, and even potentially the other party involved. However, you aren't always privy to someone else's soul journey. Okay, but you can be thankful on a soul to soul level. This is where we were talking about the soul contracts yesterday, how to be in gratitude with that. Okay, because it's bringing you into these initiatory moments where you're gonna, like, I'm gonna start my own business now. I love landscaping. I'm gonna start a landscaping business. It brings me joy and it brings joy to others. It's love, right? It's love. So you're connecting more and returning. It's just this phase, like the number 9 is also an ending of a cycle as you return to unity consciousness and oneness. You're coming into more of a leadership role in your own life. It doesn't mean you have to lead others, but you're leading yourself now. You're taking the training wheels are off. You're not seeking external gratification from anybody or anything. You're not seeking outside approval, like, oh, did I do that okay? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. You're gaining that self-confidence, self-discipline, and motivation just to live your life without apology, without explanation, but in a way that's honoring, it's respectful to you, it's respectful to others, because you're connecting to the divinity within you, right? And recognizing the divinity that is in others. And some may not be living when they're light, but you can recognize when that's occurring. So you can hold it in a different space. You can hold it in a higher space. And you can, and you're beginning to also remember, we've been talking about our soul star chakra and bringing in our soul wisdom. So that also can be potential to bring in your ancestral wisdom as well from past lives. Your soul will hold in information from your past lives, right? So you can connect with that and you're like a Akashic record by calling on Archangel Metatron to assist you to access your soul record. And you can call on that for higher wisdom. And you can also clear some things. And then how might that higher wisdom support you now in the present moment of now for the highest good, for the highest good. Okay, so as you're connecting in this time of expansion, remember, we're also working with the energy of 33. And then today's the third day of this journey. So we have 3, 3, and 3. So this that amplifies, that's amplifying that energy threefold right now. So communication, it's also your ability to connect with ascended masters right now is, I would say, highly encouraged, because you don't get here by yourself, right? You don't get here by yourself. So ascended masters, means of light, have all walked this journey too. They know exactly what you're going through, while at the same time, your journey is unique to you. They can guide you. Call on the ascended master, the right one will show up for you. They will guide you with the current phase you are in with your awakening. If you work with the rays and universal laws, when you're using that language, they'll assist you with those attributes and how to master that energy within you. If you use a different language, like just say, I'm just being challenged with the energy of anger right now. How can you support me in that? And the ascended master will come forward to assist you. Sometimes angels will come forward and assist you as well, and how to be in the harmonics and channel that energy in the highest good and detach from any personal attachment to those energies, because none of this is personal, right? When we make it personal, that's where we can limit our flow and contract. And it feels personal. It feels so personal and real, but it actually is not. And when you're connecting with your universal light and energies of source, then you can recognize, you're like, oh, okay, let me just breathe through this as this new energy comes in, and this other energy that's not in resonance with the Christ consciousness energies, frequency and vibration of love. Sometimes it can be uncomfortable for those energies to dissipate out of us, and learn to recognize them and discern them. And then where it is no longer a trigger, then you just recognize, oh, that's what the energy of anger is and feels like. It's very palpable, the heaviness of it, the fire of it, right? And same thing with sadness or depression, right? And I think we can all relate to when we know someone is angry in the room, right? I think, yeah, we can all relate to that. Yeah, we can all relate to when someone just isn't themselves. You can't quite put your finger on it, but you just know like something's off there. That's all energy. And we're emotional beings, We have an emotional body, an energetic body, and our aura can feel those things. So this is where activating your pillar of light and any other tools that you have for keeping your energetics and fields clear become really important, because the more you're in your light, the more magnetic you become, the more you activate your heart. That will amplify, and it attracts, it also will attract other vibrational energies and lower vibrational energies that want your light or want to put out your light. And you don't have to have any problem with that. But the more you build your field and protect your field, stay in your column of light and be in that space of love and remember your purpose. Okay, so this too is a teacher. How are you walking your talk? Like, how are you, you got to walk the talk. And in what ways do any of this support you in that, right? With our clarity, with these numbers, reminding you to ask for clarity, reminding you to ask for guidance when you need it. It doesn't mean they're going to give you all the answers, but they will guide you to your answer. They will guide you to what you need to see for yourself and learn for yourself. Okay, so be open to connect with that energy of 33 and the communication, the peace, and the clarity that can come with that. And there's probably more symbolism with that number 33. You're welcome to leave that in the comments if you'd like. And please be mindful, if you do decide to comment, that they have purpose and the highest purpose available to you and to those that come across it. Okay, I'm being reminded today to remind our connection to the Pleiades, and the energies of the Pleiades also can be referred to as the seven sisters. And in our time, I believe yesterday, it's this healing through love that they are going to assist you with, healing through love. Okay, but there's also this place of where in Native American tradition, it was referred to as light seen after the darkness, because it was a time in the sky where you could see the Pleiades as you enter into spring, right? So where are you perhaps along your journey that you're beginning to return to the light within you after going through your darkness or your winter time, right? Because a lot can happen during our winter time, a lot of activity. It can be related to the hermit in Tarot, but there's a lot of power in the hermit, right? That archetype of the hermit. So I suggest you also refer to Carolyn Mace. She actually was talking about the hermit archetype today. So I thought that was really interesting, and I'm going to write that down. So I can perhaps leave a link for you to do your own research on the hermit archetype and perhaps gain a deeper understanding of what that represents, right? It doesn't mean you're just drawing away and withdrawing from life by any means, but it's very purposeful when you have these moments of inner depth, inner reflection, taking time to yourself. That different creativity can happen during your winter time. Different levels of expansion can happen as you're going into self-reflection. And it can be a very creative time for that hermit and winter energy. It can be very celebratory as well, right? People are gathering together, telling stories. You're reminded by lighting the candles to return to your light, that the light is always there inside you. Even in your darkest hour, the light is always there. Okay, the light is always there, even in you just have to remember that it's there, or be reminded. And this is when you can call on the guides, the ascended masters, the other beings of light to say, I need help right now. Because you have to ask for help. You have to invite it in, because none of us get where we are by ourselves. Even though there's some of you that think, I did this all by myself. You didn't. And this isn't to take away about your accomplishments, because you did a lot of work to get here. A lot of work on your shoulders to get exactly where you are right now in life. whether you graduated high school, college, grade school, whether you are a parent and there's some milestones with parenting, your own career, right? But think about all the things in life that got you there. Your own parents, maybe other mentors, maybe you talk to in-laws about raising children, or maybe you had mentors for work, right? You had teachers in school. All those things shaped you. You did the work and put in the effort, but you had mentors along the way. So you can have mentors along your journey, whether they're in this earthly plane or in spirit, to assist you in the integration of your higher qualities, of your Christ consciousness energies. And how might you be even more humbled by that experience to recognize, number one, this is an organic experience happening to every single human being and soul in their own divine time. You don't have to force anybody into their awakening, because you'll only be met with resistance. And it's highly, I would say, if they're spiritually unethical, right? Like, it's not your place to try to force someone to awaken. But you can hold them in their light and in your light, and be patient. Ask for grace, ask for patience, and trust and faith in the divine order of all that is. And return your focus inward and tend to your garden, right? And tend to your garden. And be that sacred observer for others as they're on their journey. And just know, and you can let them know if you have people in your life, you're like, you can let them know I'm here when if you'd like some guidance, if you have the tools to guide them, right? Or maybe you have someone to refer them to, right? Let them know they're supported, but empower them to make their choice themselves. Right? Just like you too are coming to your own self-empowerment, learning to guide yourself, right? You didn't just get to that place overnight. Okay. So now, what is all this? We have been touching on the teacher a bit and walking the talk, right? Walking the talk. And let's bring this in again. And I'm going to spray a little bit more of that Jesus energy in, as we connect to that more, this card even further and with more depth of the teacher, right? And what does perhaps Jesus, let's call on him today. I know I call him in every time, his energy and that Christ consciousness energy, but let's really call on him today to see what he would like to guide us in his experience as a teacher and spiritual teacher. Yeah, it's so nice. Just feeling like I just get happy, right? That's how sometimes, like, it's a really, for me, my experience with his energy is very palpable, gentle, but and just I feel very comforted, right, in that process. So let's just take this card in for just a moment as I'm just sitting in the energies of it. And you can see that just the soft joy on his face, connecting with the child. And even the colors of lilac and white and blue, almost a little aqua under my finger, which I find interesting that I'm wearing that color today, like right here in the corners and in the background. And there's that gentle bird, like a sparrow. And take in that colors of, like, there's this lime green-ish color too, which could represent hope as well for many people. So how might a teacher bring in hope for others and inspiration for others in a sense of freedom, right? Because as the soul is growing, sometimes we need to be reconnected to hope and remember that, there is something else out there for me to connect to that is of higher guidance, that is beautiful and full of light. Because some of you may be experiencing the weight of the darkness that we also live in this world of the planet, right? We have a lot of things happening, and maybe even in your micro world, you might be experiencing some of those things, or coming out of it and returning to the light. So that color, that lime green color, can remind you of hope, right? Of hope. And even the message, what does the message of bird have for you? That freedom, that the song of the bird. And this reminds me of this little, like a little sparrow type bird, or like a finch almost. And it reminds me of a bird I usually see every day. And this one has a little bit of red on it. It could even be like a robin, but I watch these type of birds in my yard every morning, and they come down and they eat the grass a little bit, but they have these little chirps when they're talking. For me, it brings me joy and peace, but also reminder of like how if he's the teacher, so is the child is the teacher. So be open to also the wisdom of our youth coming in as teachers. And how might you be receptive to that wisdom coming in? Because then you're also fostering discernment, that ability to listen, that ability to hold all that child sacred and valued. So that in itself, you're teaching those qualities of you matter. You have value, you have something of wisdom to say and share. But you can be inquisitive and with joy and experience the life in its simplicity. It does not have to be complex. It can be just as simple as like that is taking in the awe of this bird that is on my finger right now. How special is that moment? Remember, we were talking about miracles in day one. Embrace the miracles. So how are you as a teacher embracing the miracles of your own life every day? There's a miracle every day. There's a miracle that you woke up today. And you might be laughing as I say that, but it's true. I think that's true anyway. And even that I can feel Jesus laughing, being like, yeah, it can be, right? It can be. So we're going to grab the Starseed deck. So I'm just keep seeing it and looking at it. We're going to, because we're also bringing in the energies of the Pleiades, so our galactic energy as well. And we'll just ask the cards too, what relationship does this have for the teacher and supporting you in walking your walk. And we'll see if any other cards want to come through. But right now we will touch base with the Starseed Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell. And because sometimes this deck has activations in it. So there may be an activation here. And okay, these two cards popped out. So let's pause here as we're shuffling around. Okay, we have baby steps. Okay, baby steps, action, follow your intuition before it makes sense. And then we also have the Hireth. Did I pronounce that correctly? Hireth. Longing for home, homesick for the stars. Okay, so like how do these two relate? Excuse me, how do these two relate to walking your talk and on your path of light, or as a teacher? And recognizing that you are a teacher and that everything in life has a potential to be a teacher, right? And I mean this from the most humblest of ways, because you do not know everything. I do not know everything. Nobody does. Only Source knows everything, right? Only our minds are finite at this point, yet they are growing to understanding more and more, right? And that's just that too is a level of attainment. We can only bring into this world. We can only bring into this world what our spiritual capacity will allow. right? Or what our highest level of attainment is. So we begin to see that through inventions, through science and scientific inventions, right? Sometimes it starts small and that's not released to the public, and there's sometimes reasons for that. And then it becomes released to the masses, right? So I guess we're pulling one more card because I'm shuffling them. So one more card, please, for assistance on walking the talk. What do we need support with to, as a teacher, and walk the talk? Okay, and I'm also hearing even discernment with your teachers, okay? Because not everyone is in their full alignment. All right. So we have star family. And the greatest serving. Okay, the greatest serving. Okay, these, no, okay, we told no on the rest. That kind of clumped out. It was the big clump fell out, so it was the one on top and then the one on the bottom of the deck. So let's read these qualities, these energies that are coming through. So we have the higher Hireth and the baby steps together. Those were our first two cards in asking the question. And then our next two supporting cards is the great serving, the great serving. And that's Mars energy, anger, conflict, softening to love, which that is very interesting because if any of you have been following my Instagram posts this week, the energy coming through an email that I received had a lot of anger in it. And sometimes people will direct their discord at you given the opportunity, especially when you're holding higher energies of light, sometimes when you're becoming more and stepping more into your embodiment. But this is where your self-mastery comes in, and how do you soften it with love and soften to love in that experience. And then there's the star family. Those two come together as well, right? And so working with your I am presence, your higher self, can really assist in easing the potential conflicts between relationships without having necessarily face-to-face conversation. Sometimes people are not open to that, so they hide behind technology and hit you, right? And then boom. Especially for those that are becoming more vocal, or you're leading your life. You're leading for your life, and what happens, this is me now, what I feel, it hits people subconsciously, almost like you're going to leave them and abandon them. And that's not necessarily the case, right? If people don't grow with you, some still stay and others don't. Others naturally fall away. And that can bring up insecurities for people. And it can hit on those triggers of feeling abandoned, right? Many of us go through that feeling of loneliness and abandonment because we've forgotten that we need to restore our connection to source, right? Because this is where, like our star family, right? This comes back to, we're missing our star family. We want to call it in, but we're homesick, right? We're longing for home. And when you realize, like, oh, okay, I came down here. Remember yesterday, the earth invited us, Gaia invited us here. Our soul said yes to do the work. We don't always know what that work is until we get to a certain level and we begin to just continue to follow that heartstring, right? So we can long for home, and then we can feel abandoned in the process. So how might you, depending on where you're at, and what does this mean for the teacher? Sometimes the teacher can feel alone, can feel lonely, because all of a sudden it's like falling on deaf ears. You're speaking, you're doing what needs to be said. And like, I can even hear, like, Jesus is like, yes, I had to keep going. I had to keep, not everyone was ready to listen and receive it. And it created anger. It created conflict. And also because there was power in that as people came into their sovereignty, and it threatened the powers that be, right? So then you have people that are influenced by the powers that be, that are controlling everything and want to interfere with your enlightenment, because then they can no longer control you, right? So sometimes as you're walking your journey, you walk that path alone, because now I'm being shown that picture of the monk, but we see his back turned, but he's walking on a path. I'm sure some of you have seen that. And sometimes on your journey, path of light, you will walk that path alone, but just know it's temporary, because your soul family is there, right? You're part of a team of souls, and we're back to calling in support, right? 33, call in your ascended masters, call in your soul family. They will show up for you, and just be open to the way it shows up, right? That means you may begin to meet people that are that understand and have their own unique path going, but they're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we're going to returning to the light within ourselves. Also, we're becoming sovereign, and they can support you, right? Because then the drama subsides, like you're not getting caught up in the taking anything personal anymore. Carolyn Mace talks about that, like this is an intimate thing, but it's not personal, but it feels very personal and very intimate, because it is, but it is not personal. It's a divine order that you are waking up. It's your divine timing on a soul level, right? So when you can surrender to that knowing, even if you don't call it that, you just know, I need to go this way. I just know I'm going to call in my soul family to be here with me along this journey. And you may develop different tribes, right? Sometimes I'm at a drum circle. Sometimes I'm just on my own. I have a weekly group that we touch base on the phone. It can show up in various ways, right? So just be open to how it shows up for you and make that call. Okay. And then that longing for home begins to dissipate. So for some of you that are feeling kind of abandoned and like, I just long to be home and no longer on this planet, let it pass. Like it was said, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. It's temporary. Return to your heart. Return to your heart center, and remember to follow your intuition. It does not have to make sense to you, and it does not have to make sense to anyone else. Trust your intuition and your higher guidance, and the path before you will begin to appear as you take action steps, right? Just for some reason, I'm thinking of Noah's Ark. People like, why is this guy building an ark? What are you talking about, a flood? He's just trusting the intuition and what he was being shown. And then the deluge happened, right? The great deluge, or the great flood. Boom. But it's really, if you look at the metaphor for the ark, it's like an ark in energetic shift, right? Like to me, I look like it's an arc, and it's like this quantum leap, right? So some of you as teachers may be going through a quantum leap of some kind, and an acceleration of growth, right? And how can you stay humble and open to the miracle of your expansion, of your growth, and stay and just anchor that in through the breath, because that will keep the flow of energy open, right? It'll keep the flow of energy, and just stay in your golden line. Just keep going. But one step at a time. You can do baby steps. Remember, baby steps to this. There's no end in our growth. So I encourage you to remember, it's like an ultra marathon, right? It's like an ultra marathon for those of you that run, right? We have marathons, then we have ultra marathoners. You got to pace yourself out. Sometimes you're a little quicker, other times you're slow. You slow down the pace. You nourish yourself along the way, right? You set up little food areas along your way, or maybe you have someone assist you for that. So baby steps, because the actions will follow as you trust your intuition. And as long as it's clear in your heart and clear in your mind's eye, the rest will follow. Okay, the rest will follow. Because now returning to this great serving, Mars energy, anger, conflict, softening to love. So that kind of goes back to where we're in this time right now, where there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of potential for conflict. And how do you soften that as you return to love? Discernment, right? I'm hearing be discerning in your actions, be discerning in the timing of those actions, be discerning in your voice and choice of words. And perhaps it's just a time to listen. Sometimes people feel like it's okay that they aim their targets at you and then they just unload and unleash. I really invite you to breathe and exhale. And remember to put up your daily, and maybe it's multiple times a day, your pillar of light, your armor of God, your spiritual protection. You call on the angels, you call on the violet fire. Those of you that work with dragon energy, you call on the fire dragons and, violet flame energies. Archangel Michael, right? And some of you have already know you're at a certain level where you've obtained swords, right? Oftentimes, in my experience, that comes to me in dreams. You can use your swords, you can use your shields. And remember, love too is a shield, and it will soften and dissolve those other energies. You can use this platinum around you and visualize that. It's reflective. If you have other practices that you're aware of, use those. I also regularly wash my body, take salt baths, and allow the body to wash over me any of the discordant energies that are in my field as I release those energies of the day. Earlier today, I also posted the Rumi quote, and I'm going to share it here. Because this all seems to relate too with what I have been talking about on Instagram a little bit with some of the similar topic. But the teacher, being that you're a master teacher in your self-mastery, how would you conduct yourself in that highest light? Not just for yourself. It's not ego-driven. It's just in this humble vastness of love. Right? Because we're all have our moments, right? So I'll read this Rumi quote to you and you can connect to it. You can even Google it on your own. And it's, I have this at my wall, at my door. So I see this every day as I leave the door, as I leave home. And every night before I go to bed, when I close everything up for the night. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Rumi. And I love it. Meet that laughing. How did we start this today? We started with laughter. We started with laughter. as the teacher. And to go back to the Instagram post I had about 2 days ago, maybe it might have been 3, because I've been talking about my process of the energy and transmutation of it, what was occurring. And then there's this piece of it where I recognized, oh, that did me a favor because it drew out a deeper piece of something discordant energy within me. And I also gave it space to process out as I was releasing the cord that was connected through this encounter and transmuting the energy. And then I was talking about, because I asked, what's here for me? What's here for me in this experience? And then I got this image and thought in my mind, because that's how simple it works. It's thoughts and images. And I was like, wow, okay, I was releasing this old pattern within me of how do I respond when being like kind of attacked, whether it's verbally or there's an aggression, right? There's anger on the other end, and literally being quieted down, like what do you call it? Penalized for speaking my voice, right? And for me, this was an example too, like, wow, that's how, and it was like looking at it now again, energetic, it was the same, being asked questions and then being shut down and not allowed to speak when I was answering the question and responding. Same exact thing. How might I, as like a child, then you learn to protect yourself and it shuts down your voice and divine will. It shuts down your ability to speak and express, right? Because now you're in safety mode. When is it safe to speak with someone that loves me? That is coming out of anger, right? So as a child, I learned, okay, when that's happening, we don't talk. We go quietly somewhere else, go, be quiet, right? Go play with my siblings. Anything else but disrupt, right? And so this, bringing it to today, this was no different. I took my time and thought and called in my higher guidance. What is the highest response I can do for this? Because I can tell you right now, in my being, nothing about it felt good to not have a response. But nothing felt good if I was going to have an emotional response back. Like it would be like a tennis match, back and forth. It never ends, right? And so I had to process through that. So this is too, as a teacher, how do you process through your human emotions and experiences and then allow your higher guidance to come through? Discernment, going inward, being that hermit energy for a moment, to be with yourself and what comes to the surface, to be healed, what comes to the surface to speak from. How might you use your divine voice, your divine will of God come through you? How might you transmute it and soften it to love, soften yourself to love, soften the experience to love? Connecting with the Pleiades, because it represents many things, but for us right now, we're connecting with the healing power of the Pleiades to teach us to heal through love. Connecting with that energy of Venus and Lady Venus that we mentioned in day 1 to bring in the download and understanding of our higher aspects. And how might you walk that talk? How might you walk that talk? And there's still the smile and curiosity and laughter in your heart and in your being. So let's see if there's any activations with the Starseed cards for us today. And as you continue to connect, even with guides, you and your spirit and your connection to oneness, you will feel less and less longing for home, because you're remembering that I'm good here. This is my home right now, and I'm always connected to the home of all that is, because it lives inside you and it's with you wherever you go. Okay, so we have the great serving, since that's the one I've landed on, we'll start there. The great serving, so Mars energy, anger, conflict, softening to love. Okay, hi Gus. I know you're getting a little antsy. This is a shadow card, one that may feel confrontational. Don't be afraid. It's here to bring to the surface, anything that's standing in the way of letting love in. Okay. So that's kind of like the example I just shared. I had to go through this process. The anger was there, that anger energy, and it brought up something to the surface to be healed, to bring love to. The warring planet of Mars is constant reminder that it's important to soften, forgive, and find our way back to love. There are many things in the human experience that make it difficult for our heart and soul to stay open to the energy, open to the never-ending source of love. Let me reread that, because my eyes read something different. There are many things in the human experience that make it difficult for our heart and soul to stay open to the never-ending source of love. And I was reading it as the energy of love. We're all wounded, and our unconscious wounds inflict wounds on others, right? And that's something I talked about in the Instagram post, where recognizing that person was operating from their wound. And oftentimes you can recognize that, because when response back to something, like there's a mismatch, you're like, what are you reading and why? How did we get here? Like, it doesn't make sense to you, but to that other person, it's what their reality is. And it's the programming they're operating from, because they hadn't healed something. And this also may be happening for you. You may have the same experience, and it's recognizing, and you're working with many patterns here, the archetypal patterns, your spiritual patterns, your emotional patterns. Okay. And when we work with emotions like anger, those are emotional patterns. Okay. So sometimes we inflict wounds on others. It can feel like a never-ending dance. We can never escape. If we aren't careful, before long, we'll see the world as a scary, dangerous place where fear and anxiety roam free. Okay. If this card surfaces, it could be for two reasons. Firstly, for you to acknowledge the difficult emotions, situations, conflicts, and wounds and fears that are causing you pain and anxiety. Second, for you to find your way back to love. Right? So love is the antidote to your fears and anxiety. Your connection to spirit is the antidote. So if you're not recognizing that now, hopefully you can bridge that gap as you connect with the teacher card. If that's kind of like, oh, wow, it's the antidote to my fear and anxiety. Yeah, because fear and anxiety can often be described as our separation from spirit, or we're in resistance to allowing our higher energy to come through and to be in flow with our divine self. Okay. Potentially. All right. So love is the antidote. Love is the antidote. And what comes with love, we can laugh. Okay. Live, love, laugh. 3 L's. When we're hurt, it's normal to close off our heart to the world, right? So when you close your heart off to the world, what happens, right? There's a loneliness that will set in potentially, right? And then you feel abandoned. You don't feel a part of anything. You could probably know someone that operates this way, very victim oriented in their language. Their language is very self-deprecating. And it's kind of these hooks like, oh, well, nobody listens to me kind of thing, right? And and that can be an exhausting place to listen to of someone, but also to recognize when you were in that energy of yourself. Okay, this isn't just external from you. You're walking this journey, so to be aware and discerning of your own energy and where you're at is important. So to let the painful experience, I'll reread this paragraph. When we're hurt, it's normal to close off our heart to the world, to let the painful experience confirm the agony of separation in earthly life. Okay, we were talking about that. That goes, yeah. Soften and find your way back to love anyway. When fear and anxiety and paranoia paralyze you, it's normal to want to hide away from others and the world. Come out of your cave, right? So kind of back to that hermit, it doesn't mean you're isolating. You're still interacting with life. You're still interacting with others. Do not stay in your cave all the time and disconnect, okay? We're meant to interact with each other and build community and build bridges. We're all innocent children spinning our way around the world. Find a way to see the innocence in all people, especially yourself. Yeah. So here's the inquiry. There's no activation with this particular card, but here's the inquiry. How are you cutting yourself off from love? So this could be a good time for you to journal, take time for yourself, and maybe journal about these questions, right? And I encourage you not to overwhelm yourself. Just do one exercise and then put it down and then come back and do another exercise if you feel called to do so. How are you cutting yourself off from love? How can you soften toward those who have hurt you? Okay, and that's a big one for many. And that's where you can bring in the violet flame of transmutation and forgiveness. Bring in that Jesus energy for forgiveness, for compassion. You can use the Hawaiian prayer of I love you, thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. If you like to say the Hawaiian version, Ho'oponopono. And that can become just like a decree or mantra while you're in your sacred time. Okay, because yesterday I encouraged you to create sacred space for yourself. And you can name it whatever you want. Okay, so the next card, this reading may be a little longer than our other ones, but we're here, so. Okay, baby steps, start. This one has an inquiry, action, and I'm going to see if there's anything different. Okay, I'm just going to highlight the key points to baby steps. As we take baby steps and following your intuition, it's important to take grounded action. Okay, grounded action in your response to your soul's calling, because this is very much connected to you following your soul's calling, which is also in the numbers for today. And that's also been the theme of this week too, because you're becoming sovereign. And you're spiritually sovereign, you're listening to your heart and your soul, and that's taking the wheel and direction of your life. Okay, you're learning to listen to the higher guidance and trust it and faith it, and with faith and without full understanding, but the knowing that it's all good, and you go in that direction and the rest will unfold. Ground it through purposeful action. I'll add that word in, purposeful action. Okay, grounded, purposeful action. Okay. And be consistent. Be consistent with your building, with your creation. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's reminding us to not stop living, continue to live your soul-inspired life, right? Soul-inspired living. Don't worry about what other people are thinking. There's no room for that anymore. When you are in your sovereignty, you're in your self-confidence, your own trust. You're not worried about how other people see you. You're not worried about their opinion or their influence. You are stepping into this place where you will ask for guidance when needed. And you'll be humble in with people's responses, and even humble and loving when people interject and feel like kind of just giving you their opinion when it was not asked for. You don't even have to engage it. You can just go, oh, thank you. I didn't see it that way before. Like, and just know in your heart, you're going to do what you do. Right? Okay. They're waiting to know. Okay. Yeah. The reason why you might fall off that soul inspired life, because people are challenged with getting comfortable in the unknown. When you're leading a life in the present moment and following that trust, we don't know what it's going to bring us. You don't know what it's going to bring you. And that's a really challenging place for some of us to be in, that much trust and faith. Okay. So those of you that are building practices right now, I'm right there with you. And I just keep coming back to this work because that's how much my soul is calling. And each day I feel happier and happier while we're doing this journey together, because I'm in that energy. Right? I'm in that energy. I'm doing what my soul and heart is calling me to do. Okay. And is it easy? No. And I hope I give you enough things where I am challenged too in my life. And I've walked it enough, and I've had many things that have helped crack me open to get here. And they were not pleasant experiences, but how do I return to love with it all? By living in my soul's calling and be inspired by that. And the destination will appear. The manifestation in physical form will take shape. Okay, that kind of that reward will come, that universal law of where'd it go? That universal law of was right in front of me a moment ago. Sorry, I'm kind of like every now and then it just leaves my mind. The spiritual law of cause and effect, right? And also that flow of abundance, that law of abundance. Okay, take breaks from this when necessary. Give yourself that ebb and flow. Rest is important. Okay. Bite-sized chunks. Don't put more than you can chew, right? That's important. I've done that before, and I get overwhelmed, and then that totally halts me. So have a vision, have the dream, and then break it down. Okay, I'm going to do this portion today. If you need to give yourself a timeline, make it reasonable, make it attainable. If you don't reach it, that's okay. Just keep going one brick at a time. All right. Otherwise, you'll right, when we're bringing things into physical form, the matter, it moves slower than light. So you have to be mindful that recognizing, okay, you have to go through the red tape of bringing it into physical form, right? So in this human world, maybe you're building a house, you have to go through the red tape of getting permits and things like that. That's okay. Just allow yourself to breathe and trust it's all going to fall in line in its divine timing as well. And because who knows, maybe something else will occur during that time that you're like, oh, I'm so glad there was a pause on this, right? Because something else came up that needed to be addressed. Maybe if that your timeline was accelerated with permits, maybe you would have missed that. Okay, so pay attention to that. Don't be in a hurry and trust the process. Yeah, just keep it simple, make it attainable, move slower if when needed, take rests. The Starseed inquiry here, and what's one simple baby step you can take in the direction of your soul's calling? Okay, one step in your soul's calling. And that was baby steps. All right. Let me see if G H. The Hireth. Longing for home, homesick for the stars. Let's see. I'm just going to scan through it real quick if there's anything. Common starseeds and old souls. Perhaps. Okay, that has everything I've said so far is that longing for home, where we've come from. That has remained the same in this. It feels kind of like far off, like a distant memory, but it's not. It's inside you. Just have to call in your soul family too, and that can be helpful in that process. Call it into the earthly realm, and because you're interconnected to all that is. So remembering that you're part of the oneness, you're part of the oneness, and that it'll support you. It'll support you in alleviating that feeling of homesick. And then you'll start to magnetize and draw to you your soul family. Okay. And you'll build relationships. So we talked about this piece. So we're going to just jump down to, because remember, you've committed on a soul level to embody on earth. Okay. And just allow that to happen and enjoy. Remember to laugh, remember to live, remember to love. Enjoy the life here. Choose to make this your temporary home. Okay. It's a choice if you want to be in resistance to living here, or just actually enjoy it and go, you know what, I'm going to go experience the beach. I'm going to go experience another country, food, people, experiences, right? The fact that you're in a physical body, right? Many of us know what that experience of even enjoying the intimacy with another person in a healthy and consensual way, right? And connectedness, and even that will change for you along your soul journey, because you're connecting from the heart versus just your physical desire, versus just the flesh. You're making heart connections. Even in monogamous or platonic relationships, they're heart connections. They're more intimate, more satisfying, and perhaps you'll have less relationships, but more quality relationships. The quality of them have depth to it. Okay, so your inquiry, oh yes, and part of this too is you're being called to anchor your presence. That's what we're working with here, your Christ consciousness energy, your I am presence. You're being called to anchor your presence in that light in physical form, and that assists in anchoring that light in raising the planet as well, because then the light, the people living here are less dense, they're more light and more in resonance with the ascension process of the planet as well, because that has an energy and frequency to it too. So as she's in her ascension, planet Earth, it affects our bodies. It affects your bodies. So the more you're learning to allow the anchoring in of your presence in your higher attributes, your crystalline body, your Christ-like being, it lightens the world, it lightens your life, it lightens the planet. And you're building that relationship between you, the planet, the universe, the cosmos, and nature, and your innate and your inner nature, your essence. All those things come into conjunction and work together in ebb and flow in a cycle. Okay. So, and remember to breathe, right? Because you're part of the oneness and the vastness that all is here. You're here with purpose. Your life has purpose being here. So your inquiry is, how can you commit more fully to your life? Commit more fully to your life here. So I'm just checking the star family to see if there's a activation. So all of these just invite you for inquiries and self-reflection. So this could be a good time. Again, take some time journaling, connecting with these energies that are within you. Because you're one way often. I'm just going to scan through just for kind of time's sake. If there's anything new in this that I haven't already said that's come through. Well, a little bit about the soul families, right? They come in clusters, right? This may be helpful just to kind of get a sense of what perhaps that term means. At some stage, you were each part of a soul cluster, gathering of souls who broke away from one another to experience themselves individually. It's kind of like leaving your home, right? You're born with your parents and maybe siblings. You leave to go experience life. And then you return. Then you're like, I'm going to go back home, right? But as an adult, and you're changed. Okay. Those who are part of your soul cluster are part of your star family. Okay. You might have a similar, what's referred to cosmic cloth or essence or something about you, your qualities. You've experienced more than just lifetimes together. Your souls are actually one because you're part of the same cluster. You broke away, right? So it's very common for star family members to incarnate at similar times. So this is where call your star family in, because they're out there and you'll connect in some way. And it's also, again, you come at certain times to anchor in the light, to anchor in your presence, since you're all working on bringing in your presence. Again, that's unique to you on that journey. And you're vibrating at similar frequencies of light, okay, that you're going to be anchoring in. And you'll cross paths with your star family when you're meant to. There's no need to be fixated on it. Just put it out there to the universe and that you call it in, and it'll magnetize. That beacon of light will be activated and you'll start calling each other into your life and it'll manifest physically. Okay. Let's see, how do you distinguish that? Remember them from the moment you meet. You'll just have a very familiar, like you've known them, right? Like you just like, oh, wow, we must have been related or something, right? There'd be a connection, almost instant connection. And be mindful too, where they don't feel like karmic relationships. Okay. It's very much like sibling, like a sibling relationship and friends, right? That's not to say some can't become romantic, but it'll have more of a platonic excitement and still excitement, like, oh, yay. And have met a few people, when I see them together, they even look like if they were siblings. It's very interesting. And you could totally feel that they're from the same star family. It's very interesting. And let me feel more, okay. Serious, sometimes feel like looking, yeah, it's like looking in the mirror. All right. There's really nothing more we can share there. The inquiry for you, if you care to do that, is who do you think is from the same star family as you? So you can kind of take an audit of those that are in your life right now and be like, wow, who might be from the same star family? How can you call upon them for support would be the next question, right? So a lot of self-inquiry for you in this reading as you connect to yourself as the teacher, right? Because that's also an archetype. It's a pattern. It's an energy and qualities, because we're all teachers, and through my eyes and shamanic teachings I've had. And the ability to walk the walk or talk the walk the talk, and your path of light. And how, a little recap, how might you connect to your star family, connect to ascended masters that have walked this incarnation before you, Even the Jesus energy of him, he laid that divine blueprint to anchor in our higher self and Christ consciousness qualities. I want you to keep in mind, consider it the cosmic Christ energies, the cosmic heart of you that is connected to all that is. And as you're coming into self-leadership, spiritual sovereignty, mastering your intuitive centers, you're mastering your energy bodies, and discernment and higher self. It's all coming into integration in a humble way, and you're achieving higher levels of attainment and ability to hold light in your body, to embody it, express it, be it. Just by you being that, you're teaching the world. That energy radiates out. So have a really blessed day. That completes our day 3 and connecting with the teacher, walking your walk, talking your walk, walk the talk, and be just humble, and recognize, do some self-care, because this can be overwhelming, and remember, it's baby steps. Baby steps. I'm Gina Lubita with Soul Inspired Reflections. Much love to all of you. And as I see you for day number 4, and I encourage you, just take this as you need it. You don't have to go through the entire week if you need a break. It's a lot of information. And as we get toward the weekend, what I encourage you to do is maybe pick one day that stood out to you the most and be with that energy. Take time to journal, connect with your higher beings of light, ascended masters, guides, and take a little walk in nature and write, or maybe record a memo, and maybe take notice how you've maybe even this first week you've changed and noticed energies shift in yourself. All right. Have a really beautiful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.